What did you personally make of Danny Finkelstein's article in The Times?
Well, I mean, I think on one level it was absolutely, a statement of reality. The Conservatives are looking very diminished in terms of their ambition, in terms of their competence, and in terms of how people perceive the government. Lord Finkelstein was calling for, as you've said throughout the programme, some sort of rethink, some sort of rebranding, although in terms of what he was advocating, I thought it was quite limited, really. I mean, it was a number of quite technical points he was raising, such as appointing ethics commissioners,
yes,
and changing the way that the party elects its leaders. I mean, those things may or may not be necessary, and they are the sort of things that parties tend to do in opposition, because they tend to go into opposition, they tend to go into kind of a process of kind of myopic internal examination. But, I mean, the party is not in opposition. The party is in power. And I think that slightly I felt the article missed the point, that what Conservatives don't need to rebrand per se. They just need to assert their inner conservatism, which is just not something that we've heard very much of or about. I mean, briefly during the Liz Truss interregnum, there was a suggestion that there was actually going to be some clear blue water between the two parties. Interesting, I think, in the way that Labour have now moved into a lot of the Conservative territory. They're trying to neutralise their left-wing flank, if you like. And, I mean, essentially what we've got is just two parties that are not distinct enough.
Sure. But in a curious sense, and it struck me at the time, that leadership election, you had fresh, bright young thinkers like Kemi Badenoch and Penny Mordaunt and Tom Tugendhat coming up with new ideas and so on. But it came down to a battle between Liz Truss and the Go for Growth budget, which we've talked about so many times, and Rishi Sunak as being the more traditional Treasury orthodoxy approach to it. And eventually, at the second time of asking, that's the direction that the party has gone in. Is there a danger, as I put to Peter Bottomley, that the parliamentary party and the leadership of the party is out of step with what the members want?
Self-evidently, I would say there is. I mean, I think that's why we ended up with the various changes and chopping and changing that we've seen over the last few weeks. I mean, I think that there might have been quite a different outcome to the leadership election had the roles been reversed, and had the members of the party been able to vote for some of those other candidates that didn't make it through to the final. But I do come back to this idea again that these are quite technical things.
Yes.
And I think essentially at the next election, people are not going to be voting on whether or not Rishi Sunak's appointed an ethics commissioner, quite frankly. They're going to be voting with their gut over issues like, the horrific story that we've just seen at the top of the hour. People will be voting about on issues to do with crime, on the public services, on education. And though I know we're referring to Lord Finkelstein's article, there's also a very interesting poll in today's Mail on Sunday from Lord Ashcroft, in which we see Labour, ahead of the government on a number of these key issues. Interestingly, though, not particularly with regards to the two leaders, who seem to be fairly evenly considered fairly evenly by the general public. But on the issues that really count, the big public service issues and the way the economy is run, the Conservatives are trailing behind considerably.